Assalamu alaikum, let's explore this Islamic topic together. Hey, so, you know how we were talking about coffee the other day? Well, I was doing some reading. And the whole Ottoman coffee culture thing is way more fascinating than I ever imagined. It's not just about a good cuppa. It's deeply tied to Islamic history and the power of the Ottoman Empire. Seriously, it's wild. Think about it. Coffee wasn't always this ubiquitous drink. For centuries, it was a really special, almost sacred, thing within the Ottoman Empire. And that's where its significance in Islam really shines. Before it became a global phenomenon, it was first embraced within the corn of a vast, powerful, and deeply religious empire. The Ottomans weren't the first to discover coffee. Of course, it originated in Ethiopia and spread through the Arabian Peninsula before really taking hold in the Ottoman world. But it was the Ottomans who truly refined it, transforming it from a simple beverage into a sophisticated ritual, deeply entwined with their social life, their religious practices, and their political power. Imagine this. Picture yourself in a bustling Istanbul marketplace in the 16th or 17th century. The air is thick with the aroma of spices, roasting meats, and that incredibly rich, intoxicating smell of freshly brewed coffee. Coffee houses, or kahvehane, were everywhere, vibrant social hubs, buzzing with activity. They weren't just places to grab a drink. They were centers of intellectual discussion, political debate, even artistic expression. Think of them as the social media of their time, only with far more robust coffee and far less cat videos. The religious corn is really crucial here. Islam, as you know, places a strong emphasis on community and social interaction. The coffee house perfectly embodied this aspect of Islamic life. People from all walks of life, scholars, merchants, artisans, even the Sultan's officials, would gather, share news, engage in lively conversations, and forge connections over a cup of coffee. It fostered a sense of belonging and fostered a vibrant intellectual atmosphere. Now, this wasn't just any old brew. The preparation of Ottoman coffee was an art form. The roasting of the beans, the precise grinding, the meticulous brewing in a ***, that little pot with the long handle. It was all incredibly deliberate. And the presentation, the way the coffee was served, often in tiny, elegant cups, was a reflection of the Ottoman emphasis on elegance and hospitality. It was a demonstration of respect and care for the guest. This wasn't simply a casual act of drinking coffee. It was a ritual. The way the coffee grounds settled in the cup, that was even considered a form of divination. People believed that reading the patterns in the grounds could offer glimpses into the future, adding a mystical element to the experience. It's fascinating how something as simple as coffee grounds became entwined with fortune-telling within this rich culture. But the significance of Ottoman coffee goes beyond social gatherings and fortune-telling. The coffee trade itself became a major part of the empire's economic strength. The Ottomans controlled vital trade routes, ensuring a steady supply of coffee beans, and generating immense wealth. This economic prosperity fueled the empire's growth and influence, further reinforcing the coffee's importance as a symbol of their power and prosperity. Think of it as a cascading effect. The economic power derived from the coffee trade strengthened the empire, which then further promoted the coffee culture, creating a positive feedback loop. The coffee houses, fueled by this economic power, became even more important centers of social and intellectual life. The way coffee was consumed also reflected social hierarchies. There were specific ways coffee was prepared and served for different occasions and social classes. demonstrating the intricate socialness within Ottoman society. Even the way you held the cup, or how much sugar you added, could communicate something about your social standing. Now, the decline of the Ottoman Empire didn't erase the coffee culture. Far from it. It's still a hugely important part of the cultural heritage of Turkey and many other countries in the region. But the coffee houses of the Ottoman period hold a special place in history because they represent a unique confluence of factors: economic power, religious values, and social interaction, all wrapped up in that rich, aromatic brew. So, the next time you sip your coffee, remember the story of Ottoman coffee culture. It's a story of an empire, of a religion, of a people, and of a drink that became so much more than just a beverage. It's a rich tapes woven with threads of history, faith, and community, a story worth savoring. Just like a perfectly brewed cup of Turkish coffee. And honestly, now I really want a cup. Want to join me? Hey, so you wanna know about Ottoman coffee culture? It's seriously fascinating. A whole world wrapped up in a tiny, intensely aromatic cup. Imagine this. It's the 16th century. The Ottoman Empire is at its peak, sprawling across 3 continents. A breathtaking mix of cultures and religions all under one. Admittedly pretty powerful sultan. And amidst all that grandeur, a simple bean is about to become a major player. It didn't start with grand ceremonies or elaborate rituals. You know, it was more subtle. Coffee, as we know it today, wasn't exactly invented by the Ottomans. The story actually begins further east. In the highlands of Ethiopia, legend even has it that a goatherd noticed his goats acting unusually energetic after munching on certain berries. But it was the Ottomans, with their vast trade networks, who really took coffee and turned it into something extraordinary. They brought it from Yemen, across the Red Sea, and into their bustling cities: Constantinople, now Istanbul, Damascus, Cairo, places already buzzing with intellectual and social life. Think of it, these were centers of learning, of religious scholarship, of artistic expression. Sufis, those mystical Islamic scholars, were already using coffee to help them stay awake during long nights of prayer and meditation. It wasn't just about avoiding sleep. The coffee, with its slightly bitter, slightly earthy flavor, became a meditative element in itself. The act of slowly sipping it, the warmth in your hands, the rich aroma filling the air. It created a kind of contemplative space. And quickly, it wasn't just the religious scholars who embraced it. Coffee houses kahvehane * started popping up everywhere. These weren't your average Starbucks. They were vibrant social hubs. The beating hearts of Ottoman communities. Imagine bustling rooms filled with the aroma of roasting coffee, the low murmur of conversations, the click-clack of backgammon pieces, the rustling of papers as scholars debated philosophy and politics. It was a place for everyone. Merchants, artisans, poets, students, even the Sultan himself might occasionally grace a kahvehane * with his presence. Though probably in a slightly more private setting. The coffee houses became centers of information exchange. Literally the social media of their time. News traveled fast there. And the kahvehane * often became the place to hear the latest gossip, political whispers, and even poetic recitations. This accessibility was key. While the Ottoman Empire had strict social hierarchies, the coffee house offered a relatively democratic space, where people from different walks of life could interact and exchange ideas. Of course, that didn't mean everyone was equal. A rich merchant would likely have a different experience than a humble artisan, but the very existence of this common ground was significant. Now, the coffee itself wasn't just a beverage. It became a part of the fabric of Ottoman social life. The way it was prepared, presented, and shared was steeped in tradition and ritual. We're talking about finely ground beans, painstakingly brewed in a says way that little pot you see. Often with a long, elegant handle, over hot coals. The rhythmic pouring, the swirling of the grounds, the creation of that perfect, frothy foam, it was an art form. And it's still practiced that way in many places today. The importance of hospitality also played a crucial role. Offering coffee to a guest was a sign of respect, a demonstration of generosity and warmth. Refusing a cup of coffee could be seen as quite rude. The rituals surrounding the serving of coffee, the way it was presented, the number of cups offered, often 3, each with a different level of sweetness or strength, all spoke volumes about the relationship between the host and the guest. Beyond the social aspects, Ottoman coffee culture also held an important place in Islamic history. While some Islamic scholars initially debated the permissibility of coffee due to its stimulating effects, it soon became widely accepted. Indeed, its use in religious cons, particularly among Sufi orders, helped to solidify its place within Islamic culture. The purity and ritualistic nature of preparing the coffee aligned with the values of cleanliness and devotion found in Islamic practices. And of course, the Ottoman Empire's reach meant that coffee culture spread far and wide, influencing coffee traditions across the Middle East, North Africa, and even into Europe. The empire's decline didn't mean the end of Ottoman coffee culture. The traditions continue to thrive in many parts of the world, a living testament to the rich heritage and enduring legacy of this incredible empire. So, next time you savor a cup of strong Turkish coffee, remember the vibrant social spaces, the intellectual ferment, the rich traditions, and the enduring legacy that it represents. It's a whole history lesson in every single sip. Amazing, right? Okay, so we've talked about the early days of Ottoman coffee, how it arrived, the initial hesitancy, and then bam, it exploded in popularity. But things get really interesting in the middle chapters of this story. You know, it's not just about a drink anymore. It becomes deeply woven into the fabric of Ottoman society and, by extension, a reflection of Islamic culture itself. Imagine this: the 16th and 17th centuries. The Ottoman Empire is at its peak, a sprawling behemoth stretching across 3 continents. You've got Constantinople, Istanbul now, this incredible hub of activity, a melting pot of cultures, languages, and religions. And right in the thick of it all is Kahve, Ottoman coffee. It wasn't just a beverage. It was a social lubricant. Picture bustling coffee houses, kahvehane, popping up everywhere. These weren't your quiet Starbucks. These were vibrant, buzzing public spaces where people from all walks of life, merchants, scholars, poets, laborers, even the Sultan's spies, gathered. It was a place for gossip, for news, for political discussions, for intellectual debate. It was the internet of its time. Think of it, a place where everyone, regardless of their social standing, could rub shoulders, share a cup, and engage in lively conversation. And that's where the really fascinating stuff starts to emerge. Because within this seemingly simple act of sharing a cup of coffee, you see powerful social dynamics at play. For instance, the way coffee was served became a subtle yet significant ritual. The intricate preparation itself, the careful grinding of the beans, the precise measurements, the delicate pouring, all spoke to a certain level of artist and respect. It wasn't just about the caffeine kick, it was about the experience, the ceremony. Remember the importance of hospitality in Islamic culture? Offering coffee to a guest was a profound act of welcome, a gesture of respect and generosity. Refusing a cup was considered incredibly rude, almost insulting. The act of sharing coffee became a fundamental element of building relationships, forging bonds, and strengthening community ties. Now, the coffee houses themselves weren't just neutral gathering spaces. They became hubs for intellectual discourse and artistic expression. Think of them as informal universities, places where poets recited their verses, storytellers captivated their audiences, and scholars engaged in lively debates on philosophy, religion, and politics. Some *kavehane* even had resident storytellers, musicians, and even chess masters. This is where the intersection of Ottoman coffee culture and Islamic society gets really interesting. The emphasis on community and social interaction in the coffee houses resonated deeply with Islamic values. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, emphasized the importance of community, dialogue, and knowledge seeking. The *kavehane*, in its own way, became a reflection of these values. But it wasn't all sunshine and roses. As coffee became increasingly central to Ottoman life, some religious scholars started to express concern. There were debates. Naturally, some saw coffee houses as potential breeding grounds for dissent and even heresy. Given the potential for unregulated discussions, it was a fascinating clash between the social benefits of the coffee houses and concerns about their potential for misuse. The rulers, naturally, had to navigate these opposing viewpoints, attempting to regulate the coffee houses without stifling their vibrant social life. The coffee culture also became entangled with the Ottoman Empire's political and economic power. The trade routes that brought coffee beans to the empire became vital economic arteries. The empire's control over these routes, and the resulting prosperity, directly influenced its political power and global standing. Coffee wasn't just a drink. It was an integral part of the empire's economic and political landscape. And then there's the artistic expression inspired by this drink. Look at the incredible artists in the coffee cups, the decorative pots, the elaborate coffee sets. They often reflect a rich blend of Ottoman and Islamic artistic traditions. With intricate designs, calligraphy, and patterns, these objects weren't just functional. They were works of art, reflecting the aesthetic sensibilities of the time and the importance placed on the coffee ceremony itself. So, you see, the middle chapters of Ottoman coffee culture are anything but dull. It's a story about social interaction, political intrigue, economic power, religious debate, and artistic expression, all wrapped up in a seemingly simple cup of coffee. It shows how a single beverage can become a powerful symbol of an empire and the society it shaped, mirroring its highs and its lows, its triumphs and its challenges. It truly was, and still is in many ways, a fascinating slice of history. So, we've been chatting about Ottoman coffee culture, right? How it wasn't just a drink, but a whole social ritual, a cornerstone of their empire, deeply intertwined with their Islamic faith and society. It's fascinating stuff, isn't it? Okay, so let's wrap things up and think about how this incredible story concludes. Or rather, evolves. Because it didn't really end, not truly. It transformed. See, by the late Ottoman era, we're talking late 19th and early 20th centuries, the empire itself was facing massive change. It was weakening, Under pressure from European powers, nationalism was brewing within its diverse populations, and modernization was pushing for dramatic societal shifts. This huge upheaval naturally impacted coffee culture too. Imagine, for centuries, coffee houses had been the heart of Ottoman social life. They were vibrant, bustling places where men, mostly, though women had their own spaces and ways of enjoying coffee, would gather to discuss politics, business, literature, religion, you name it. It was a space for intellectual exchange, gossip, and community building. The very air crackled with conversation, punctuated by the rhythmic clinking of tiny coffee cups and the low hum of conversation. These weren't just places to grab a caffeine hit. They were crucibles of cultural exchange, political debate, and even artistic expression. Think of them like the Twitter and Facebook of their day, only with way better coffee. But with the decline of the empire, those coffee houses started to change. The vibrant intellectual debates were, in some cases, replaced by anxieties about the empire's future. The shared sense of Ottoman identity, so intrinsically linked to the coffeehouse experience, began to fray as nationalist sentiments grew stronger. Modernization brought new drinks and new places to socialize. Tea, for example, started gaining popularity, particularly among the upper classes. Fancy European cafes, with their elegant interiors and different social s, began to emerge, offering a stark contrast to the traditional Ottoman coffeehouse. This wasn't a simple replacement. It was a complex shift in social dynamics, reflecting the larger changes happening in the empire. The brewing itself also saw some shifts. While the traditional methods persisted, new technologies and different styles of coffee making slowly entered the scene. Driven by influences from Europe and the growing global trade networks, this wasn't necessarily a rejection of tradition. It was more of an adaptation, a response to the changing times. Of course, the religious aspect never really disappeared. Coffee remained halal, permissible under Islamic law, and it continued to hold a place in religious celebrations and social gatherings. The ritual of coffee making and sharing, the communal aspect of it, remained crucial. Even as the political and social landscape of the Ottoman Empire transformed dramatically. The act of offering coffee, the gestures involved, the way it's shared, all of that carried a deep cultural significance that continued to transcend the changing times. So, the conclusion isn't a neat ending, but rather a beautiful, complex evolution. As the Ottoman Empire dissolved, so did its rigid social structures, and coffee culture had to adapt. The coffee houses didn't disappear entirely. Many continued, transforming alongside their communities. The traditional methods remained a cherished part of the culture, passed down through generations, but they coexisted alongside new trends and influences. Think of it like this: the empire might have fallen, but the spirit of that coffee culture, that sense of community, that deep-rooted social ritual, it lived on, it adapted, it evolved. It continued to shape the cultural landscape of the successor states. It wasn't the same as it was during the height of the empire, but it remained an essential part of the cultural heritage of those regions. You still find those traditional coffee houses today, albeit often alongside modern cafes. You still find people savoring that rich, strong Ottoman coffee, and sharing that meaningful ritual of hospitality. And in that way, the story of Ottoman coffee culture isn't about a conclusion. It's about a legacy, a rich tapes woven through centuries of history, faith, and human connection. It's a living, breathing tradition that continues to resonate today. reminding us of the enduring power of shared experiences and the deliciousness of a perfectly brewed cup. It's a story that continues to unfold. A testament to the resilience of culture and the enduring appeal of a simple yet profound ritual. Hey, so, you were asking about Ottoman coffee culture and what it means for Muslims today? It's actually really fascinating. A whole world wrapped up in a tiny, strong cup. Think of it less as just a drink and more as a cultural keystone. A piece of history you can actually taste. Imagine the Ottoman Empire at its height, this vast, sprawling empire stretching across 3 continents. A melting pot of cultures and traditions, all bound together, in part, by shared experiences. And one of those was definitely coffee. It wasn't just a beverage. It was a social lubricant, a business tool, a part of religious and daily life, woven into the very fabric of society. Before coffee became the ubiquitous drink we know today, the Ottomans weren't exactly known for their early morning pick-me-up. Tea was more common, but then coffee arrived from Yemen, and, well, everything changed. It was initially a luxury, something consumed by the elite, enjoyed in sophisticated coffee houses, places where important conversations were had. Deals were struck, and news spread faster than a wildfire. These weren't just cafes, they were community centers, intellectual hubs, and even sometimes, informal courts of justice. Imagine the buzz. People from all walks of life, scholars, merchants, poets, even the Sultan himself, probably had a pretty fancy setup, were rubbing elbows and sharing ideas over a steaming cup. This spread of coffee houses, especially in the larger cities like Istanbul, Constantinople then, was revolutionary. It fostered a sense of community and facilitated the exchange of ideas, a real social melting pot. It wasn't just the coffee, it was the act of drinking coffee that was important. The whole ritual was significant. The preparation itself was an art form, a slow, deliberate that brought people together. Think about it, the grinding of the beans, the meticulous brewing in the sesame, that little pot with the long handle, you've probably seen one. The careful pouring into tiny cups. It's a sensory experience. And religion? Well, it's interwoven throughout. While there were occasional debates about the permissibility of coffee amongst certain religious scholars, as with anything new, generally speaking, coffee drinking was considered acceptable, even encouraged, as long as it wasn't consumed to excess or interfered with religious obligations. And because coffee houses became such important social spaces, they indirectly supported religious and communal life. Think of it as a space for sharing religious ideas or simply connecting with fellow worshippers. After prayers, the coffee culture extended beyond the public sphere too. It became an integral part of home life, a ritual for welcoming guests, for celebrating special occasions, for connecting with family. Sharing a cup of coffee was a way of showing hospitality, a sign of respect and friendship. It remains that way in many Muslim cultures today. Think about it, when you visit someone's home, offering coffee is a common gesture of welcome. This speaks volumes to its enduring social significance. It transcends generations, carrying with it echoes of the Ottoman Empire's rich history. Now, what does all this teach Muslims today? Well, several things come to mind. First, it highlights the importance of community and social connection. In a world that's increasingly fragmented and digital, the Ottoman coffee culture reminds us of the power of face-to-face interaction, of meaningful conversations, and of building relationships over a shared experience. It's a reminder of the rich tapes of Muslim society, its diversity, and its capacity for intellectual and social exchange. Second, it teaches us about mindful consumption. The ritualistic preparation and careful sipping of coffee wasn't just about the caffeine fix. It was about appreciating the moment, savoring the experience, and finding a sense of peace and tranquility in the simple act of drinking coffee. In our fast-paced, always-on world, taking time to slow down and appreciate the little things, like a perfectly brewed cup of coffee, is a valuable lesson. Third, it demonstrates the adaptability and resilience of Islamic culture. Coffee, a product of a different part of the world, was seamlessly integrated into Ottoman society, enriching its cultural landscape. This highlights the capacity of Islam to embrace and adapt to new ideas and experiences without compromising its core values. It's a testament to its vibrant and ever-evolving nature. Fourth, and finally, it speaks to the power of hospitality and generosity. Sharing a cup of coffee was a way of showing kindness and extending warmth to others, regardless of their background or social standing. It reminds us of the importance of welcoming strangers, of creating spaces for inclusion and understanding, and of building bridges across cultures. In a world increasingly characterized by division and conflict, the lessons of Ottoman coffee culture are perhaps more relevant than ever. So, the next time you have a cup of coffee, especially if you prepare it in a traditional way, think about its rich history, its connection to the Ottoman Empire, and the enduring lessons it holds for us today. It's more than just a drink. It's a story, a cultural heritage, and a reminder of the values that continue to shape Muslim communities worldwide. And maybe, just maybe, it'll inspire you to share a cup with someone and connect on a deeper level. Goodbye, may Allah bless us all. That's our discussion for today.